Welcome to the Branded Podcast. I'm Tristan, and I'm here with, who am I here with?
Well, you're here with me, Justin. Hey, everybody.
Okay.
And our guest today is Johnny Haney.
How's it going?
Welcome, Johnny.
Johnny, you like Johnny or John?
Johnny.
You like Johnny?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, all right. Did you want to start, Justin?
No, go ahead. Be my guest.
Oh. All right.
Since you made it weird, I was going to say the cool thing about this is Johnny and I have seen each other and hung out quite a bit with the men's group and stuff,
Yes.
but I really don't know that much about you.
I'm usually a quiet guy.
Yeah, so
For the most part.
I want to hear, what kind of testimony, all that kind of good stuff today as much as everybody watching.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. Now, for those who are watching and whoever, I don't know when this is going to air, but yesterday was the Super Bowl. Johnny, did you watch the Super Bowl?
We did not. We watched the Turning Point halftime show to kind of see how that was, but other than that, didn't watch the game and
wasn't interested in it.
You're a Broncos fan, so
I'm a
you're
Broncos fan, and
yeah, I got you.
Patriots beat the Broncos to get in, so I was like, my team's not there.
All right.
So
Well, all right then. That was the first game I'd watched all year. Super Bowl, Seahawks. Of course, I'm being from the North Seattle area.
I've been in the state of.
It's the state of
Oh,
Washington.
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that one now.
And one bit of trivia: I went to the very first Seahawks game when they became a franchise. So,
you're super old.
I started saying, what year was that?
That was way back. I was a teenager, early teens when that happened. So
18.
No, not 1898 or.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right.
Anyway, so it's always fun to see the old team. I'm not there anymore, but got to watch the game with my brother, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah. So you're not you didn't watch the Super Bowl?
I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
Didn't get to see Terrible Rabbit on the halftime show?
No.
Or wait a minute, is it Terrible Rabbit?
I don't know.
It's bad.
Bad Bugs.
Funny Bunny.
Funny Bunny. No, I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah.
I watched just a little bit, and I quickly turned into the Turning Point USA to watch their thing, and that was good too. But I eventually ended up watching curling from the Olympics, and that was really cool because there's a technique there, and
I've actually heard you're not the first person I've heard say that. I'm not a big Bad Bunny or Kid Rock or Turning Point or whatever.
Yeah.
I watched the Olympics during halftime.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Anyway,
I didn't, but I've heard people that said that. So
Yeah.
I watched Turning Point.
So we've learned a little bit about you. So
Yeah.
Didn't watch the Super Bowl. That's fine.
No.
We want to find out more about you, Johnny. Now, this is one of the rare things because most of the people that we interview here, I really, there's a lot that I haven't even had a conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got to work together on a
we
building
have.
project here at the church. And so you are would you consider yourself mainly a carpenter or what do you classify you
Kind
as?
of jack of all trades, I know a little bit about a lot.
Okay.
So I have my own company and do a lot of remodels.
What's the name of your
flooring.
company? We'll give you a plug.
plug in there.
It's called Haney Do List.
I
it's
like
from Honey-Do List. 'Cause my last name's Haney, and-
do list.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we
I like
put it out to the family, and that's the best one that came back, and so we kept it.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
For all your general around the house needs,
That's
contact
Yeah.
Haney Do
Haney
List.
Do
So
List.
we
All right.
basically do the same thing because I have my own company, Random Edge, and I do all phases of construction too. So yeah. Anyway, we've worked together, so I've got to see your work ethic, which is nice. You get a thumbs up there.
Thanks.
Yeah. You say that you're not a talker, but we want to ask you about your. Did you grow up in the church? What was your family like?
Where were you? Where were you born?
I was born in Colorado. Spent most of my life in Colorado. I did grow up in the church, I guess, from late elementary, early middle school.
Did your folks just decide to go
No,
to
my
church?
folks didn't go to church. I started hanging out with preacher kids.
Oh.
And they pretty much became my best friends and basically lived at their house with them. Just every day was there. And then finally got my family involved in the church. My
You
mom,
mean your folks or siblings?
my mom, my dad, and my sister.
Okay.
Sister was more on the rebellious side, so she didn't really want to go. So once she was of age, she was gone.
Okay.
And my mom and dad started going to the church and getting involved pretty much all through till the end of high school.
Okay.
And then my dad just left, didn't know where he went, didn't see him for quite a while. My mom still went to church, and then I decided to go military.
What branch?
I went to the Marine Corps,
Okay.
and I had a lot of people saying, "Don't go. It's going to change you. It's not. It's all world." But it's something I felt like I had to do. My grandpa was a Marine, so I kind of followed him a little bit.
Did it change you?
It did a little bit, good and bad, I guess.
Right.
There is definitely the world side of it, getting caught up with friends or partying. So it's definitely got part of my life doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't go too bad, like drugs or anything. It was just mainly alcohol, partying with the friends. Kind of fell away from the church till the end of the Marine Corps. Started going to church a little bit. Some people from the community had a church and kind of reaching out and kind of piqued my interest again.
And how old were you at that time?
At this time, I was probably 20, maybe.
Okay.
Almost 21. So started doing that and started going to back to church there, which was nice.
Now, did you keep in contact with your childhood friends, the preacher kids?
I did for quite a while, and then we just kind of fell apart. Different lives. They were getting married. I ended up getting married when I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh.
One reason I got out, because at the time my wife was in Colorado. So I got out to kind of move back to Colorado and be with them.
Gotcha.
But sadly, it didn't work out. So I got divorced.
Did you have children?
She had a son when we met. But
Okay.
together we didn't have any kids. Failed marriage just wasn't fun as far as going through that. I think it was kind of both sides that we weren't being faithful. So
Yeah. Now, the failed marriage, was that a catalyst to get back in church, or did you get back in church?
Or the opposite?
No, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
At the time, when we were kind of maybe going through the split, she really got into the church. And for some reason, I just got a little hardened on that and kind of pulled away even more, which didn't help the relationship, which probably for me,
I
pushed me away.
I don't think that's uncommon. I've been in the same situation. I've had a failed marriage, and it's tough.
It is.
I understand. So
from there, I fell back out of church and didn't really go back for a while.
So you were out of the Marine Corps,
Out of the Marine Corps.
and out of the marriage,
Yes.
and out of the church for a little bit.
what are you doing for a job at that point? What are you doing?
At this point, right before we split, I just got out of the state patrol, so I was a state trooper. Then I got out of that. And
Before you go
ahead.
past that, state trooper.
State trooper.
How long were you a state trooper, and what did that involve?
I was a state trooper for a couple of years. I did that right when I got out of the military, because I got a degree in criminal justice.
So you're 19, 20, 21?
I was probably 22 at this point.
Okay.
And where I was stationed was basically the armpit of Colorado, bottom corner. I wasn't having fun. I was young. And I decided, I'm going to go find something else to do. So that's why I left State Patrol, started coaching high school track, because I did a lot of track in high school.
Really? What events?
High jump was my main event.
You were a high jumper.
I was a high jumper. So
Could you dunk the ball?
I could dunk. I was a little...
Well, how tall are you?
I'm only 5'11".
Okay.
But I was jumping 7 feet when I left the military.
Wow.
So
And the military, when they said something, they say jump, you say how high?
pretty much.
Okay.
He said 7 foot.
7 foot.
That was the height.
That's height. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So it was fun. So I kind of continued that at the high school I graduated from. Ended up meeting another girl that coached from a different state. She was in southern Colorado. I was northern Colorado. We started dating, ended up getting married, having a little girl, but still wasn't in the church. Wasn't part of my life at that point.
Yeah.
Faith was or wasn't. And I was still on my track of not being faithful and fell away from her and got divorced again. And at this point, I was just lost, didn't know what I was going to do. I actually moved down to the Springs when we got married.
The Springs?
Colorado Springs.
Oh, Colorado
It's the
Springs.
southern part of Colorado. And I was actually working security for Target for 13 years.
Wow.
So that was fun. It was kind of a play from the State Patrol, I guess, since it was still my background.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you've got military background, you've got a degree in criminal justice, state patrol,
State
so
Patrol and
But Target for 13 years. And so your little girl is growing up. And by the time you're done with Target, she's, 15, 16?
no, she was only 5 when we ended up getting divorced.
Okay.
So she's still young. So being a single dad, trying to navigate that was a little rough. And then obviously still partying with friends. Ended up later on meeting my current wife now, Jacqueline, and she was doing security as well at Target. So I was kind of her trainer. And we just had a connection. She had 2 kids before her. So we actually started dating.
was she going to church when y'all met?
She was off and on going to church, but not full time into a church. I think more curious, I guess. So when we actually started dating, ended up getting married and having a blended family. Her 2 kids were living with us and kind of grew up as my own.
Yeah.
So, and my daughters go back and forth between us. So that was good and bad, but at least she's still got to be part of the family.
Now, do you have a good relationship with your daughter?
I have a great relationship with my daughter still.
Okay.
She's getting ready to turn 18 and graduate high school, which is exciting.
Now, does she live in Colorado?
She still lives in Colorado with her mom.
Right.
She comes out every once in a while to visit.
All right.
Holidays or vacations.
Yeah.
So, but it was nice. My wife, the church that she was going off and on to, we ended up starting to constantly go to it, I guess, get back involved with the church.
Got a little more serious. A little more serious.
A little more serious. Yeah. And the partying slowed down. But it got to the point where my wife's not a big partier, or she wasn't. And started causing friction there. And I got to the point where I can't be like this. So, and kind of pushed away some of the friends that I were actually with, the influences that I had. Trying to distance myself from that.
It's funny when you stop doing those things, how those friends just disappear real quick, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
And, after that, a lot of them start saying stuff behind your back, which kind of shows their true colors. And really, I'm only friends with maybe a couple of them still that I talk to. But as far as the partying, kind of went away, got involved with the church a little more. And then.
Did you have an aha moment? Was there a moment where the Holy Spirit or you just...
Not at this point.
Not yet.
Because when I grew up in the church, we didn't really talk about Holy Spirit or anything of that. It was more of, you do anything, it's a sin. But if you weren't behaving rightly, then you're going to get a talking to.
Kind of more of a legalistic mindset, it sounds like.
It was. And there's a lot of stuff I didn't understand, I guess. Maybe I didn't pay attention enough as being a teenager.
Yeah.
So when we started going back to church with my current wife, we started understanding a little more, but we still didn't feel the Holy Spirit coming as we're learning about the Holy Spirit, I guess. But we started serving at the church with the children's ministry. And then at this point, we're head first into church and trying to raise our kids the way we thought we needed to.
Yeah.
So
As much as you knew at the time.
correct. As we're going, and like I said, I grew up in the church, but I just don't think it all clicked until the kids get involved, I guess.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if it's funny, but the way you have to describe you say your current wife.
It could be like Pastor Tim and say his favorite wife.
Yeah, that's what
Pastor Tim says.
that's what I was going to just say.
Okay.
I say that with my wife Becky all the time. I say I introduce her as my favorite wife, and she kind of looks at me. You had no other wives, but I say, yeah, but you're my favorite. So that's if you want to, you can steal that.
Yeah, she also used to joke with me like third time's a charm.
Yeah, I've had that joke too. Anyway, so.
But I mean, she definitely changed my life and turned it around. And
now, I got to introduce. Last night we talked to her at the church service, or yesterday morning. Sorry, not last night. And I got the impression that she's she knows what she wants, and she stands her ground, which was it was cool because we'd ask her about doing a podcast, which she will one day. We will get her in.
Currently politely declines.
She's currently politely declined, but I can imagine that kind of temperament has been very helpful for you to adjust to your role as father and husband.
Absolutely. I mean, she was kind of, I guess, that rock for me, and she knew what she wanted as far as her future for her kids. And it was definitely something that I wanted as far as being, good parents, not going to be raised like we were, especially her side. So we actually, when we had our kids, we had two kids together. It's more of getting them involved into church and growing the right way. And then we had her two kids are the twins, which they're getting ready to turn 21. They'd go to church with us because we went. Yeah. But they weren't involved. Every once in a while they'd go to a youth group with friends, but it's more of they weren't sure if they wanted to believe or attend church.
So they're at 21 right now?
They're almost 21. They're 20 right now.
Their brains haven't fully developed yet.
Correct.
So we're hopeful.
Yeah.
For lots of people.
Thank you, Tristan.
You're welcome.
But
yeah. What about, and this is more kind of focused in on you, and you, in the broad sense, church and activities and that kind of family. That's what we need as children of God, as disciples of Jesus. But for you specifically, I'm kind of curious how God speaks to you when you make decisions, when you're wrestling with something. How does God speak to you?
It took me a while to learn how God was speaking to me. It's not until I actually realized what the Holy Spirit was and started going to a church that was definitely Holy Spirit filled, that I really opened my eyes and I'm not used to this, but it just felt right. And I still, at this point, didn't hear from the Lord, or I didn't think I did. I wasn't paying attention. Right. But we were fully into church, changed our lives for the Lord, and got to the point where had my own company now,
Yeah.
which is Haney Duelist. And I ended up going in for an injury on my shoulder. Just for a guy, I just let it hurt and finally got to the point where I got to get it checked.
Yep.
So I went in, and when they took the x-ray, they found 8 masses on my left lung.
Wow.
One of the masses was golf ball size. So pretty good. I had no, I guess, signs that I had anything on my lungs as far as health wise. Went back in, I had emergency like pulmonary team doing all my tests. I probably went through every test there is. And the last test I had to do was a biopsy just to confirm cancer. And between all my tests and my biopsy was about a month apart. So during that month, everybody's praying for me, laying hands on me, which was new to me.
Yeah.
Our church never really laid hands.
Yeah.
From where I remember, didn't believe in healing. So this was new to me. I knew it was there. Friends were praying for me. And I was still kind of, at this point, not fully dove in, I guess. And then my wife would drag me down to the altar. Let's get prayer. And it got to the point where I told the Lord, all right, if this is what you want, then it's going to be for something. And I just kind of released and let it go and went down to the altar myself finally and just opened up my heart.
Yeah.
And it's so tough for guys to do that because we,
Oh, yeah.
you know, we want to think we can do it ourselves, and we don't like to open up. We don't like to show emotion and let other people know how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's tough just to go through that process and then to get there yourself and accept whatever the Lord has in store for you, whether it's healing on this side or the other side.
Yeah.
And it's tough to get there sometimes.
Even our posture in worship, this whole thing of raising hands, that's a posture of surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do this, you know, you can do this and do it, woo, but to do it here, to actually surrender, that's a much harder deal for guys to fall into.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's where the point, once I did that and just laid it at his feet, just felt peace and kind of weight off my shoulders, I guess. And so after that month, I went from a biopsy after I just opened up and said, all right, this is your will. They put me on the table to do my biopsy, and they had to scan my body because they had to stick a needle in my chest and just keep scanning until they get that needle just right. They did the first scan, and the nurse was getting ready to sedate me for the procedure. And the doctor's like, hold on a sec. And the x-ray showed that the masses were gone. They weren't solid anymore. The way he explained it was they look like a stained glass window.
Transparent.
Yeah, they're transparent. So all the masses basically dissolved. And he's like, there is no reason to
do this at all.
To do this.
That's kind of cool. That, not your illness, but it's kind of cool that the picture, that translucent, transparent, it's a shadow of what was, but it's there enough to provide validation that it really was there.
Yeah.
That's I like
a
that.
lot of times you'll hear stories and folks will say it was gone, and the doctor said, well, I have no idea, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But here there was evidence that it was really there, and now it's really going away.
I mean, it was definitely there. I have like the scans, and even right after I went through all the scans and everything, I got pretty sick. I was in bed. My oxygen was down like 82 and just basically bedridden for a little bit, and started getting a little healthier. And that's when we started going to the altar. And once I did lay it down, I mean, I felt fine. My oxygen is still a little low even now. But I have no issues from it.
Long-lasting effects.
Long-lasting that I know of. And
well, it might be my fault here at the podcast because people say when I enter the room that the oxygen just leaves.
Here we go.
Take my breath away.
Take my breath away. Okay.
No, so after something like that, And you kind of talked about, where you were with God beforehand. So after it, I mean, were you just praising him, or was it just a quiet gratefulness, or did you talk about it, or how did it go after this all?
Not afterwards. It was definitely grateful for me.
Yeah.
But I kind of kept it inside. Like family knew. We had some close friends at the time that the husband said, all right, you're going to be healed. And we did a lot of life together with them, with going with the Lord.
Now,
Go ahead.
Now I can anticipate that when you were kind of bedridden, that a lot of the rototilling, the work of the Holy Spirit was happening there, because for a man who likes to work with his hands and is active and is, self-starter, self-motivator, that is one of the hardest things to do. So the conversations with God in that spot, what were they like?
It was more of me. I don't think at any point I was saying, why me? My wife, I think, was more scared than I was.
Mm-hmm.
But once I actually realized he has a purpose for it, I didn't know the purpose at the time, but kind of talking to God and saying, all right, I'm going to put myself into your hands, and you're going to guide me. And that's what he did.
That's awesome.
So
how did that change your church life afterwards? I mean, did you find yourself there every time the doors were open? Did it not change? How did that affect your walk?
our walk definitely got stronger, especially after being healed. It's just, it's an eye opener, like the things that the Lord can do for you. And he's definitely going to ask hard things, which he did after that. I just kept having dreams. And this is when I found out the Lord likes to talk to me through dreams.
That means you're an old man, because it says the young men will see visions, the old men will dream dreams.
Yeah. So
You're an old man now.
I feel it some days. But he's talked to me through dreams and basically told me, I want you to work pro bono with your company for a year. And I was like, no, couldn't do that. You know, I was the provider. Even though my wife had a job, and we still counted on me.
Yeah.
And I kept saying no, kept getting the dreams. And we got to the point where my wife and I watched a movie. Couldn't even tell you what the movie is anymore. But it was about a handyman working for a church pro bono. And it was like, are you serious? And my wife just turned to me and she's like, well, are you going to listen?
Looking for confirmation. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I laid it down again and said, all right, I will do this. So I actually worked a whole year pro bono. And I would tell people, all right, you just buy the materials and I'll do the work for you. And throughout the whole year, people are like, why are you doing this? So I had to share my testimony why.
Uh-huh.
And so that whole year was just over sharing my testimony. And before that, I wouldn't tell anybody. I don't even think I told my mom till after that year.
Huh.
So,
And by the looks of it, you didn't miss a meal.
nope.
God took care of it.
What are you trying? What are you trying to say, Tristan?
No. Just that God took care of you through that year.
Absolutely. And it was amazing. Even some of the lives I impacted through my work. I mean, some of the testimonies that I got back from people after I told mine was just amazing. And it really softened my heart. And, you know, crying on a driveway with two old couple telling testimonies was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if he brings you to it, he'll bring you through it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so,
I
unlike
like
Tristan,
that. I haven't heard that one before. I like that.
You never heard that before?
No, say it again.
If he brings you to it, he'll bring you through it. Yeah, you know?
Should
And
be
so
on a
it
shirt.
takes faith to follow through. But obviously, you know, after some confirmation, you followed through. And as you pointed out, he didn't starve or anything.
Thank you.
But, wow, that's awesome. And one of the things I like to point out, I've said it several times during the podcast, is, you know, we think that blessings are automatically for us. It's going to be something positive. We're going to, you know, just for us. But a lot of times our blessings are meant for others. And it's all meant to glorify God's kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So, and we think that's going to be in our ballpark, but a lot of times it's for other people, whether
Absolutely.
it's through somebody who's been told to work for free for a year, or maybe it's because you don't want to share that testimony. He's like, okay, I'm going to bring you to something to kind of help you share that testimony.
Yeah.
So,
And it's really just taking that step.
yeah,
If I didn't take that step of faith, like, all right, I'm going to trust you, I would have missed all those blessings.
right.
And people would have missed my testimony at that time, which was nice. And it brought us to the point where the Lord was first in our lives now.
Mm.
And everything we did was, all right, is this what the Lord wants? Is this for the kingdom? Which
You start seeking wisdom and discernment and all that good
Absolutely.
stuff,
Yeah.
consulting, God before you make big
Yeah.
decisions. Yeah.
And, our kids definitely saw that. And I think it actually started with my youngest daughter, Avery. And just seeing how we walked, and came up to us one day and said, I want to get baptized. And I think at this time she was 7 or 8. And we're like, amazing. And it just kind of trickled from there. The middle daughter, Lexi, ended up getting baptized. And then later, our youngest son got baptized. But we still had our 2 older twins that were holding out.
Mm.
And our son wasn't against it, I guess. It was his sister that really didn't want to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Got to that point where she was really rebellious. And we're like, what are we doing? Like, how strict do we go with her as far as being a godly parent?
Yeah.
And it was tough. And then we decided, well, the Lord told us we're going to be moving. And we're like, we just finished our house that we like as far as remodeled. And we just felt like the Lord was calling us somewhere. We didn't know where. And
So that was one of my questions is, was there a definite, God showed you an end date to this working for free, or were you watching the calendar and be like, okay, Lord, it's been 365 days?
No, it was actually just, I started doing it in April. And when I ended was when we started doing our taxes. I was like, all right, I guess it's been a year, and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, the Lord told you to move. How did this come about?
We just felt like we were supposed to be going somewhere. We didn't know where. And so we're trying to really pray into that and dig into that. And at this point, our daughter was really rebellious. And we found out that she got pregnant.
Mm.
And she's, 16 at this point? 15, 16. So she was young.
Mm.
And we didn't find it. She didn't tell us. My wife said the Lord told her, wake up, go check Savannah's phone. This was like 3 a.m. And she's like, what? So she wakes me up, and I was like, we're going down to check her phone. So we woke her up, brought her up. And as my wife was sitting on the couch trying to look through her phone for something, my daughter got a text from her boyfriend basically saying, the baby's not mine, you're sleeping around. So we're like, are you pregnant? She's like, I am. And that was just
Oh man.
crushing. So had to deal with that and trying to get her, like, what do we do? How do we guide her?
Yeah.
And she was so angry, and basically, I'm just going to have an abortion. So we went to the spot where, like, we're going to say, no, we're Christians. We don't believe in that. And my wife and I really sat and prayed and felt like that's not showing love. And as we're dealing with this, the Lord's telling us we're going to be moving. We didn't know where. We were sitting in church. My wife went out to the foyer, and the preacher was talking about Christians showing love. And the only thing I could picture is all these Christians at abortion clinics yelling at these teenagers that are probably scared to death and not showing love. And on the way home, my wife was telling me that she was looking in a magazine and there's a church that gives like girls in this situation ultrasounds, try to change their mind.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the church is in Johnson City.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay. And at this point where I felt like we're moving east, we weren't sure, Tennessee.
So you're in Colorado and you found
In
this church and it's
Colorado.
in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Yep. In a church bulletin, little magazine. And we started really digging into that and, all right, showing love. And we're really interested in that church. So we felt like, we prayed about it and we felt like the Lord's calling us to Johnson City. At this point, we're talking to our daughter and she's still adamant about getting an abortion. And she's afraid we're going to kick her out. And we sat her down and it's like, we'll never kick you out. You're our daughter. We're like, we're going to stand beside you, whatever choice you make. But we want you to do one thing for us, and that's sit with someone that's done every walk, whether it's abortion, adoption, or kept it. And there's a lot of family members that came out and talked with her that whether it's abortion we didn't know about, but really opened themselves up to our daughter. And the church that we were going to had a program called Brace Grace. And it's a discipleship class for single moms, expecting moms that need some guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And when the first day we went to this church, they talked about it at the beginning of service, but we didn't pay attention to it because at that point we didn't need that.
Mm-hmm.
Came back later that we did need it. So the lady that ran that sat with my daughter and talked with her, and the lady that runs it explained that when she was in college, all the girls in her dorm had a fund that if someone got pregnant, they can use that fund to go get an abortion. So as she's telling my daughter this, she's like, and it was me. I got pregnant, but I couldn't go through the abortion. So I kept my kid, which we've met her son, amazing little boy. After my daughter sat and talked with her, she came home and said, "Does my baby have a heartbeat?" This is the first time that she referred it to my baby.
Mm-hmm.
So she had the other questions. Does it feel pain? Anything like that? And we're like, yeah. And she just sat there thinking about that and basically said, well, I'm going to keep it. And as for a parent, that's just joy.
Oh, yeah.
And for our daughter, that was just a big step. A little soften up her heart, knowing she's got a little one growing. So she was able to get into this Embrace Grace at our church and go through this discipleship class. And at the end of this Embrace Grace class, they throw each girl a shower. And which was nice. We're like, she's going to need that.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout that whole discipleship, she was really getting fed and a little more eager about the word. Changed in her life. And at this point, the dad of the baby wants nothing to do with her.
Right.
Wasn't a good guy from the start anyways. So she finished her discipleship class or the Embrace Grace. And we got to the point where like, all right, we're going to move. That's what the Lord wants. And since they were underage, they were coming with us. She wasn't happy about it, but she was going to go with it. Same with her brother. He's like, when I'm 18, I'm just moving back. We're like, that's your choice. But so we put our house on the market because we had a time frame that we could travel with her being pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we put the house on the market, and at this time, the market was hot and just starting to turn to kind of go the opposite way. Could not sell our house. I mean, we had some low offers and we had under contract a few times, but they always backed out. And we got to the point where, like, the Lord told us to go. We need to go. And we're praying, and we had a pastor that was moving here that was going to buy the house. He's like, I can't give you what you're asking. And the offer he gave us was like 100,000 less.
Wow.
And so we started praying about that, and we came like, you know, the Lord's going to provide, but he's telling us to do this. Mm-hmm. So our realtor went back to the pastor, and the pastor's like, hey, I'm going to pull my offer. And she's like, hold on a sec. You know, they accepted your offer. He's like, I know. He said that the Lord told him we were going to come back and accept his offers, but he wasn't supposed to take it. We're like, okay. So we got to the point where now it's too late for our daughter to move, travel, being pregnant. So we're like, all right, we'll take the house off the market and we'll go through the pregnancy, trust in the Lord. I mean, at this point, we're full into the church and our lives are changed. And our daughter has little Blakelin. And at this point, our daughter's has that faith now, or she's starting to believe because of the discipleship class.
Because those seeds that were planted, you know.
The seeds that were planted. Yep. But we didn't know why our house didn't sell. We were kind of stuck on that. And we had one of our friends told us that you're not supposed to move yet. Savannah's supposed to have the baby here. We're like, okay. So that's what we did. And come to find out, after she had her baby, we felt like we weren't supposed to move quite yet now. Don't know why. Just the Lord put a hold on that. One of the girls that my daughter went to high school with, after they graduated, came back to her and said, hey, I'm pregnant. I don't know what to do.
Oh, my.
And my daughter got a walk through her life with that and turn her to embrace grace. So my daughter kind of ministered to her, got her enrolled in that, and kind of helped her, I guess, through the pregnancy. And at that point, we're like, okay, this is the reason. So we're like, all right, Lord, are we supposed to move now? And we felt like it was a yes. So we're going, all right, let's put our house back on the market. And our realtor now said, hey, the market's not the same. You're probably going to be waiting a few months before your house sells. It's going to be not what you're asking as far as your price. Like, that's okay. This is what the Lord wants. So we put the house on the market, and by the end of day one, we had 3 offers.
No kidding.
And two of them were a bidding war. And we had one of the offers that said, we'll go 10,000 above any other offer, which we're like, whoa. So we had to make a choice. We didn't go with his offer. We went with another couple's offer because we found out they were believers. And so somehow it just worked out great. And then our closing went really fast. And we're like, all right, what are we going to do? We got to move now.
Yeah.
And got all prepared. We actually bought a camper to move out here with just in case.
Which is a popular thing folks do around here when they come to East Tennessee.
We weren't camper people. My wife's not a camper at all. I think we've been once in a tent, and she's like, all right, that was enough for me.
Check the box. Yeah.
And she's from California, so understand.
Yeah.
But we decided, all right, let's pack up and we're going to go and we'll find somewhere to park the camper. Just a few days before we left, some lady calls us and she's like, I heard you were moving out here from a friend of a friend of a friend. We're like, yeah.
Welcome to the East Tennessee Grapevine.
She's like, do you know where you're living? We're like, no, we have a camper. She's like, well, we have a little cabin we built. We'd love for you to come stay there. And you can park your camper next to it. And it was just a little 1-bedroom with a loft and bathroom and a kitchen. We're like, okay. And they didn't know who we were. They just heard we were coming. So we pulled up to their house, one evening, and they were expecting us.
Now, is this in Greenville, Greene County, or is this?
This is in Mossheim.
Mossheim, okay.
Yep. So we pulled up and they helped us hook up our camper and everything. And they had 5 kids. All the kids were our kids' ages, which was great. They were believers, which was nice for our kids to have somebody to play with that we didn't have to worry about. We spent 2.5 months at their cabin till we can find somewhere. And our kids played every day and became really good friends. Their oldest son was our son's age. So our son came like 2 days later because he was finishing work. And he showed up, and the next day he was out doing work with this lady's kid. Didn't know him. He was just invited. Let's go do some yards, mowing yards.
Mm.
So they did that. I think it's that little influence of believers putting your kids into other believers, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just that influence rubbing off. And my son really embraced that and basically became best friends with them.
Cool.
So we've been here 3 years now almost.
So being from here, I love asking, of course I like to find out why, but also, was there any kind of culture shock coming from Colorado or to East Tennessee?
A little bit. I grew up in a small country town, so for
Very
me, it
similar in
wasn't
that
too
way.
bad.
Yeah.
My wife was like, oh, it's pretty small. Driving through, we came out, visited once before we moved, just kind of see, but it was in Johnson City. So at that time, we're like, all right, it's not too bad. It's got some stores. Then when we found out we needed to be in Chucky or Greenville, we live in Chucky now, but we're like, we're supposed to be in Greenville. It was definitely a culture shock, especially the town we came from.
Yeah, Greenville, Greene County is kind of one of those places you want to have to come to. You don't accidentally end up in Greenville generally. You
Yeah.
have to want to come to Greenville for whatever reason.
I don't know if we wanted to, but
It's
that's where the Lord
it's where you were led,
Preach it,
right?
brother. Preach it.
So, but it's been amazing, and our kids have definitely grown in the Lord. Our 2 oldest, the twins, started going to college out here, and we're like, all right, yeah, you need to do something. And our son did technical college and graduated, and our daughter's actually going to ETSU.
Cool. Go Buccaneers.
Yeah, so she's becoming a teacher.
Awesome.
And just last summer, they both decided to get baptized. So
Good deal.
they went down to the Nolichucky and got dipped.
Nice.
Awesome.
And, definitely doing amazing. They both have friends that are believers, which definitely is the right influence for them. At least changing their lives. And our son is hungry with the word, which
Who
is
you surround yourself
amazing.
with matters. You know
It
what
does.
I mean? Yeah, big time.
So, and I mean, he does Bible study with guys at work now. And before, you wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
And he just comes home and guess what I learned today? And
That's so cool.
Just telling us about the stuff in the Bible that he's learning or going through. And our daughter does Bible studies with her friends, and which is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
to see their life from 3 years ago is just unbelievable. They're still here. They didn't move back. They like it here, which was a surprise. But yeah, and then we ended up at Cowboy Church. And
Well, that's what I was going to ask. That's a perfect segue to the next question. From Mossam to Chucky, how did you end up at Crossroads Cowboy Church?
we actually started going to the Rock church here,
Mm-hmm.
which we love the church. Love the people that were there. And we started coming to Cowboy Church because we met Adam and Christy and Mark and Lindsay. They started going to the Rock. They came here and really liked it. So we kind of dipping our toes over here, and it just, for me, it clicked. It was like, this is where it need to be. I mean, as far as spiritually, as far as our spiritual growth, this is where the church we needed to be in. So, of course, my wife, she's like, you're the head. I'll follow. So we transitioned over to the Cowboy Church and doing the co-op with the kids here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, what's fun about this is even this podcast, we got 3 guys here in the room, and you shared, you know, an incredible story of God's faithfulness and your journey. But this isn't something that guys do. We don't sit down and share our heart
Without this format.
or you know, pass a tissue. We just don't do that kind of thing.
When you call it out like that, Tristan, I mean, come
anyway, but the thing is, that's a culture that's been developed on purpose. You know, I think Justin and I have a little bit of disagreements on the amount of it, but I believe that the church here is designed to attract the guys so they can get the rest of the family. That's my thought. And you have a little bit of different...
I agree with
Oh,
that.
you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It has been recorded. Justin agrees with me. It's something.
A witness.
It happens.
It happens now and then. But I wanted to, you know, as we wrap this one up, it came to mind while you're sharing and knowing that you're in construction and very, very familiar territory for me. I relate to that. It reminded me back in the Garden of Eden when, you know, Adam and Eve sinned and they were, you know, called into account, and God's asking, well, you know, what have you done? And you know, Adam blames Eve and Eve blames Satan. And then God goes down and disciplines each one. And for Satan, he touched him physically so that he'd be crawling on his belly, eating in the dust of the ground kind of thing. And then Eve also touched her physically, so her pain in childbearing and rearing would increase. But he didn't touch Adam physically. He cursed the ground for Adam's sake, that he would eat of it from the sweat of his brow. That the condition of fallen man needs to keep his hands busy, needs to have that weight of responsibility to provide for a family. But what I like about it is, yeah, you have to do that. You have to get up, go to work, and it's hard. It's not doing construction work. There's times you're testing every muscle that you didn't know you had. But also, there's those times when you've developed a skill and you're able to implement it and you're able to do it well. And you show up on a job site and you're excited about finishing whatever task, you know, whether it's plumbing, electrical, or carpentry. You can see that you're close to completing it. But then the sun is shining and the temperature's not bad. You're feeling pretty good. And you just kind of stop and you go, Lord, I know that this is part of the fallen, the condition of fallen man, that I have to do this. But it's your grace, it's your blessing that allows me to enjoy it, to actually enjoy it And God, you've been faithful to bring me to this point. You've been giving me the skills. You give me the family. You've given a home to invest in. And I'm just wondering, do you experience that sometimes when we're showing up and all of a sudden you recognize just the broad base of what God has done, and you just take that moment and thank Him, for
No, all the time. I mean, he's used my hands not just to do my work, but to help bless other people, like helping Adam and Christy build their house, helping Mark and Lindsay build their house. And for me, it's a blessing that I have that skill that I can help someone else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times I have some of the teenagers come and help just because they want to learn, and using my hands to teach them to grow and use what God gave them to bless other people or even bless their family in the future.
Yeah.
It's amazing how God works and puts you in situations where there's nothing else but to be in awe of what He can do.
And that you get the opportunity. And so we're kind of, again, we're in that alumni. Not all guys are skilled with their hands. Not all guys know how to do a trade. And sometimes they're envious of you.
I knew that was coming. Keep your hands up on me, Tristan.
It was an accident. But it's a joy to be able to serve God's people with the skills of your hand. And I know you can relate to that.
Oh, yes. And I try to instill that with my kids, especially my sons, as far as getting your hands dirty. I think it kind of rubbed off my older kid. He's a welder. He had no interest going to school. He wanted to use his hands.
Yeah.
We'll see where Hunter goes. He's only 10, but since we started going to church and he was getting involved as a little kid, he would draw it in school. He's like, I'm going to be a missionary. And just trying to feed that as far as, okay, there's so many different things as far as what you can do as a missionary, and guiding him that way. And he's definitely a faith kid, which we've seen here at Cowboy. I mean, he went to another healing story, I guess. I had a torn rotator cuff this last year.
Wow.
Supposed to have surgery on a Thursday. That Wednesday at church, Hunter's class, we were talking about how powerful kids' prayers are and how their words can speak. And it must have really resonated in Hunter, because he came home that night and his evening prayer was, I pray that the doctors go into Daddy's shoulder and they're not going to find anything. And I didn't pray with him that night. My wife did. And I don't think she told me that he said that. But that Thursday morning, went in for surgery and they went inside my shoulder and couldn't find anything. So they came back out and like, hey, we couldn't find a tear anywhere. So then that's when my wife told me what Hunter prayed. So it was really important to let Hunter know, hey, your prayer, you know what, you prayed for me being healed, worked. It was like just showing that faith, building his faith up. I didn't have any doubt that I could be healed. But I think it was that process. Like a lot of people like, I didn't get healed. It wasn't that. It was more of, all right, there's always a purpose. And that purpose was to build Hunter's faith up, knowing that his prayer was heard, and they're always heard. And he got to see it firsthand.
Wow. Justin, didn't your kids do the same thing, same exact prayer when you had to have brain surgery?
Oh, Tristan.
Sorry. Opened it up, didn't find anything.
Nope.
Okay. Anything else, Justin, that you want to mention before we?
Before we close it up, one last little thing. So, if somebody out there is watching and they're listening, they're resonating with your testimony, what advice or words of wisdom would you have for somebody that was in the same situation, maybe seeking God, didn't know how to get there, didn't know how to listen yet, just somebody else that may be in those shoes you were in a while back? What would you say to those folks?
It's more of surrounding your people with people of the Lord. having that influence there.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point and you're not sure if he's talking to you or not, but taking that step of faith and, you know, reaching out to those guys or gals
Yeah.
and ask for prayer. It's amazing how that prayer works and how it can open up doors for you and open your heart to hear the Lord. I think that was for me, is really opening up and taking that step of faith and open my eyes and my heart to hear the Lord. A lot of time you'll stay back and not want to take that step, but you got to have that action to take that faith step and start it.
God meets you right there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Johnny, for joining us here. I really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And why don't you go ahead and close us out, Justin?
All right, will do. As always, thank you for joining us. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things that helps that algorithm. And hey, if this testimony spoke to you today, put it in the comments. You got questions? Put it in the comments. As always, tell somebody about Jesus this week. But I encourage you, if you're in a place that Johnny was in, pray. Reach out for somebody for prayer. Seek God this week. Thanks, y'all.
Amen. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.